Welcome to Deep Thought. Avoid making assumptions. Avoid making assumptions. What is an assumption? That you just think something is a particular way. It can be based on anything. You're assuming, you thinking somebody is behaving a certain way because of something. You didn't really investigate. You assume there's a situation happening because of something else. You're saying, oh, they're doing this or this is happening. It must be this. But you didn't really do the due diligence. You didn't think critically about it. You didn't investigate it to see what it actually is. And you know how they'll say it. They say assumptions, when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. They'll say that. And really, I'm going to tell you what, when you're thinking critically, when you're a critical thinker, you're not making an assumption. When you're looking at the big picture, you're actually investigating. So one of the things with thinking critically is looking at something correctly. Looking at everything. When you're looking at the big picture, looking at everything, you're not assuming everything. Because, see, sometimes when people assume something, they trying to find, they instead of like really seeing what it is, they trying to find something that fits the assumption. Or they not seeing it at all because they're assuming. You want to not do that. When you look at any situation, I don't care what it is, any person, whatever's going on, you want to know. If you have to ask questions, you want to do that. You don't, it's like, let me use the example of people. Let me use the example. One time I had this woman, and a very beautiful, physically beautiful woman. She was trying to get some money out of me. I kept asking questions. I ain't making any assumptions just based on her beauty. And she found that, well, I wasn't going for it. That's because I wasn't assuming, oh, this is a beautiful woman. She wouldn't try to get over on me. No, I was asking questions. And really found out she was trying to scam me. Found out from somebody else who knew her that was part of who she was. I didn't make any assumptions just based on her looks or anything like that. I questioned. I was thinking critically. I was asking. When you meet somebody, don't assume they doing something for whatever reason. If you don't know, if they want to share it with you, that's up to them, but don't make the assumption, or why they behave in a certain way or why they feel a certain way. Don't make any assumption. Like, you get a lot of that when we talk about racism. A lot of assumptions are made, based on somebody's skin color, based on somebody's ethnic background, their religious background, whatever. Their economic background. Somebody might assume, it's like, well, you don't know that particular person. You don't know their behavior, Unless you know that particular person, you don't know why they doing something, They could be doing something out of pure ignorance, but you're not going to know that till you ask. Or they could be doing something because they're just evil. But you're not going to know until you start asking some questions. And that's very important. And you want to avoid that to the greatest extent. It's tough. Let's just be real. It's tough. It's tough, and sometimes people say they don't have time, but I'm going to tell you what. It's like that saying I mentioned earlier. People say when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. You don't assume anything. In fact, one of the best things to do is act like, you just don't know. So ask some questions. Ask some questions. Don't assume something. And I've seen people do that. I've had that happen with me. A lot of people might assume something, and it was like, oh, this is what you're talking about. It was like, no. I've seen that on some of my videos. People say, oh, you must be talking about this. I don't even have to watch the video. It's like, you're assuming. Why don't you watch the video? Whenever I see the title of any video, I don't assume anything regardless of the title. You know, if the title interests me, I'll watch the whole video. I don't assume what this person is talking about. You don't know what this person is talking about, right? You can't do that because you miss out on a lot. Like when I've had several times, like I said, I've had several times people have assumed I was talking about something, or you must be going to be talking about this, or I already know. They're making an assumption. I was like, did you actually listen to the video? I'm not talking about anything regarding what you think I'm talking about. And then you may lose out. See, when you're making an assumption, you lose out because you're not asking a question. You're not listening. You're not trying to find out the real answer to something. And who does that really hurt? Does that hurt the person that you're making an assumption about? It can in some instances, but it actually hurts you. It actually hurts you because maybe that person might be saying something or doing something or in touch with something that could actually help you out. Not just answering a basic question, but they could give you something that's helping out in life. Because one of the things, I'm going to tell you something with me, I avoid making assumptions. I avoid it. I like to hear something and everything. You know, and I'll throw out something. If I'm going against somebody, I'll ask some questions. I'll be critical. They're like, Ron, you're asking a lot of questions. That's because I ain't making any assumptions. I want to know for sure. I want to know. Because you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that because I'm going to tell you what, when people make assumptions, they actually hurt themselves. They don't hurt the other person because the other person is doing something, or they're hurting themselves, or they're not reading the situation. And by making assumptions, they may be hurting themselves, you know, as far as their knowledge, you know, as far as something that can help them get through life. Shoot, they could be making an assumption that can like take money out of their pocket. And is that what you want to do? Or you want to know? You know? And let's bring this back around to when I was thinking critical. You need to think critically. Because that can either help you, or that can help you, or that can put you in a lot of trouble. Now, you don't want to do that, do you? You know, you don't want to do that. You always want to know as best as possible. You know, you want to see the bigger picture. So you need to ask questions at every step. It's like, okay, what's causing this? What's causing this? What's causing this? You want to see the bigger picture. Because one thing, when you start making assumptions, then you don't really know. You don't really know. Like, I remember, like, when I was selling my book, Nice Guys and Players, and I remember I was doing a book signing. It was in Philadelphia. I was doing a book signing at this book stand, this bookstore. I don't know if it's still there. I don't know. It could be not. I don't know. But this one guy, he saw the book and he said, I already know what's in it. And I'm just be real. I mean, as much as I avoid assumptions, I was just looking at the guy and I was doing a read, and I might have been making assumptions, but dude didn't know. I was like, how you know? You didn't look at the book. You just saw the title and assumed you know what I was talking about. But he actually looked like that classic guy who was trying to be a player. And I was just like, okay. Now, he might have heard himself. He was obviously, you know, just from the read. And unfortunately, you know, could only talk to him so much. Couldn't really ask all the critical questions. But, you know, and it was close to an assumption I was making. Like I said, I had to learn all this myself. But he didn't know what was in the book. He was making an assumption. He might have hurt himself in the long run. So, you know, you want to avoid that. You want to avoid that. I had to learn that lesson. I had to learn it. I ain't gonna lie. I had to learn that lesson. You know, learn that lesson. Avoid it. Ask the question. If you want to find out something, you need to ask. Don't assume. Don't assume. Assume nothing. You know, ask whatever. It could really help you. Okay? So anyway, that's all I have for today. And I'll get back with y'all on Sunday morning, okay? Y'all have a good weekend until then. Peace and many blessings.